Hello! In this video I'm going to talk about some of the changes coming to World of Warships in patch 0.52. You see me in the Hakuryu here, the Japanese tier 10 carrier, because I think the biggest changes coming in this patch are going to affect the Japanese aircraft carriers. Mainly they've got a new manual attack, which you'll see me trying to use in this game. So far I haven't really been very successful at using the Japanese manual attacks, but I think with a bit of practice they could be very powerful. Anyway, while I'm flying around, well, I'll just explain the manual attack changes now, is that the Japanese have finally gotten the cone-shaped attack that the developers have been trying to give them for a long time, which means that when you launch your torpedoes they start relatively far apart, but they all converge on a point at the very end of their torpedo run, which means that if you can aim well enough to hit a ship at the maximum range of your torpedoes, you will hit with all 4 torpedoes and do massive damage, instead of doing the 1 or 2 or 3 that Japanese aircraft carrier players are kind of used to. The also other advantage of that is it means that you can drop your torpedoes from well outside the enemy's really effective anti-aircraft range, which helps preserve your bombers. But as I said, the downside is the enemy has a lot of time to dodge and manoeuvre, but well, I've had some success on it, you'll see if you just watch this replay. But I'll talk a bit about some of the other changes while the game's coming. There's a whole bunch of new signal flags. Most of them I'm not really all that excited about. There's a few to increase the fire chance and a few to increase the flooding chance. One looks interesting, which will improve the anti-aircraft guns performance. You get that one for the Clear Sky achievement. Probably the most interesting change is that, well, instead of getting equal speed Charlie London, which was the 50% to experience for a Confederate, you're now going to get Zulu Hotel, which only boosts your commander skill, and you're going to get equal speed Charlie London from another achievement. I haven't been able to figure out which one yet, but I'm kind of suspecting it's going to be the new Top Gun achievement, which comes from destroying 5 or more enemy ships. I said that's just conjecture, but seems logical. I'm just going to think what else is new. There's been lots of economy changes in this patch. Basically what they've done is they've reduced the overall credit earnings for doing certain things by a certain percent. I don't know what things, and they said by roughly 20% overall, but these are for things like capping, sinking a ship, doing damage. But on the other hand, they've actually boosted the credit earnings for most ships in the game. A few have been reduced. Here you see me lining up for an automatic attack on this battleship. It's nice, easy to aim since it's on the map border. But just watch how long it's going to take for my torpedoes to arrive. So there we go, they're in the water. My planes get out of there before the anti-aircraft guns really get firing on them. I start looking around, seeing what's happening. Just order my fighters around, go back. Torpedoes are halfway there. Let's just go look at some other things. Oh no, we've lost sight of the target, but it must be coming soon. Oh, we're in the right ballpark. And there we go, 4 hits and 1 flooding. So, well, that was successful, but about the easiest target you could possibly hope for. That's what was I talking about? Oh yes, the economy changes. Overall, it's supposed to be a slight credit boost to you, especially in high tier matches. But a few of the ships are going to be having, and when I say credit I also mean experience as well, because that's also being changed. It's just a few ships. I'm not going to go through the whole list. Well, I say a few ships. It's basically every ship is having its earnings modified slightly, at least. But I'm not really going to go through the whole list. It seems like most of them are getting buffed, especially in high tiers, rather than nerfed. And just throwing here that the manual automatic torpedo attacks still work They're better than they are in the current patch. You drop your torpedoes close to the target, but they spread out a bit over the target run. All in all, it's probably better. Just gives your opponent less time to dodge. So, other than the signal flags, they've introduced new introductory missions. Yes. For beginners, I haven't been able to test them out because I'm not a beginner, so if there is a way of me playing it, I haven't been able to figure out what it is or how to get there. One thing I'm actually interested in is they're introducing a karma system to the game. So, you know, when you say complain about a person because that player plays badly. Oh. Remember that battleship I torpedoed earlier? That was it sinking due to flooding. Of course, I had set my dive bombers in earlier, so it actually caused a fire, so it must have put that out. And that one flooding must have done a lot of damage to kill it so slowly after that point. Let's talk about karma. So when you right click on somebody's name, say plays well or conversely plays poorly, basically it's going to be adding, you know, every compliment gets you 1 point, every complaint gets you a negative point. I don't know if that's true, but it's just kind of the idea they're going with. Which basically it kind of shows you what it's basically just a way of rating other players, and they're looking. Well, what they're saying here is they're planning to introduce automatically granted rewards if you get a high karma level, to just try and encourage good gameplay and teamwork and the like. They're also reducing allied torpedo damage by 50%. I'm not sure if I actually like that. I mean, I can understand why they're doing it, because it is a leading cause of allied damage and just a cause of frustration and people probably rage quitting the game. So I mean, I can understand why they're wanting to reduce the torpedo damage, but I don't actually think it's going to help the situation all that much. Like, people are still going to be really pissed off that they've been hit by an allied torpedo firing torpedoes from behind them. I'd kind of say, like, obviously I haven't played the introductory mission, but I'm hoping that it will include, you know, torpedo range, how to fire torpedoes, how to aim torpedoes. I really would have preferred for Wargaming to have let that kind of training settle in to hopefully improve the player base before they started doing something like this, because it kind of seems very just unrealistic, I suppose, to say that a torpedo just will do less damage to a ship that's got a green tag over it than one that will do a red tag over it, even though it's got the exact same amount of high explosive and the ships have the exact same armour and all that. I'd really just prefer that people were careful, and it just adds. Well, the thing is, it doesn't actually detract from it, because you're still going to do damage, and you're still going to do a lot of damage because torpedoes are powerful, and people are still going to get annoyed. So really what we've got to do is try and figure out a way of improving people's player base. I mean, I'd even actually have preferred them to have just put a warning, you know, if you switch to torpedo mode and there's an allied ship in front of you, just put a warning saying, hey, there's allies nearby. And I kind of think that would have actually done far more to resolve this issue without kind of just limiting the gameplay in that respect. Now, you see me coming in for another automatic attack here, and this one I'm going to call kind of my most successful automatic attack. As you can see, the battleship is turning in, and I'm looking good. I'm going to get a few hits here, but it gets sunk just before I arrive. But I got 4 hits on a moving target at sea, so best result ever. It's just unfortunate that that target was already dead. Actually, while I'm on that topic, another change is that they are nerfing the turning ability of ships with a tonnage over 35,000 tons. I'm sure all you battleship drivers have just gone, oh no, a big dodging nerf. It's not actually as bad as it sounds. Mainly there are very few ships with over 35,000 tons displacement. I should have actually looked them up, but I'm pretty sure it's just like the Tier 9 and 10 battleships possibly even the Iowa doesn't have over 35,000 tons. I mean, the Yamato is about 70,000, but most battleships, like even the Nagato, I think is only 32. The Amagi's around that as well. Kongo's down at 24-ish. So for most battleships, and conversely, you know, obviously most cruisers and destroyers, this is not going to affect them in any way. It's just the very highest tiers are going to have less ability to maneuver. One new thing I'm going to talk about, because I've first encountered on this test server, is the cruiser Mikhail Kutuzov, which is a tier 8 Soviet light cruiser. It's going to be a premium, I assume. I really like the ship because, well, it's a high tier light cruiser. It's the highest tier light cruiser we have, so it's kind of showing, I hope, the way that high tier light cruisers will play when they come into the game. Basically, the Mikhail Kutuzov, think of it as a Cleveland. It's got basically the same firepower, seems to have the same rate of fire, but it's got a lot weaker armour. It seems faster. I haven't actually been able to play it or look up the stats, this is all just my impression. It seems faster, much weaker armour, definitely. I haven't been able to test the AA performance, really. And it gets a smoke screen. So it's actually making me really optimistic for it. I'm just going to love high tier light cruiser gameplay when they come into the game eventually. We're also getting new ports coming up in this patch. So you see here, this is it's either Hawaii or Philippines, I keep getting them mixed up. Yeah, I think that's Hawaii. And then we have the Ocean port, which is designed for people that want a quick load time of their port. It is very basic, as you can see. Here we have New York, which is kind of the opposite, since it's got fireworks in the background and it's snowing, and you've got a cityscape there. But I'm sure some people will like this. And here we have what I believe is the Philippines, but it might be Hawaii. No, this one's Philippines. You all might recognise it. And finally we have Yokosuka, I think, which is going to tie in with the Arpeggio of Blue Steel module that Wargame is going to be bringing out. And I'll also just mention this here, the Isuzuchi and most premium ships now are going to get permanent camouflage, which gives it bonus to credits, experience and other earnings. There are two new maps. This one is Atlantic, which is based on the Azores, and I'm really liking that there's a big open space in the centre for us to manoeuvre in. The other new map is based on the east coast of Canada, and I haven't actually been able to play it yet, so no comments on that one so far. Actually, let's talk about the camouflage bit again. All my premium ships I have on the test server, it's given me the same bonus, which was a 30% to credits and a negative 4% chance to enemy shellfire hitting you. And the advantage of these camouflages is that they are permanent. I don't ever have to pay for them. I can choose to switch to another camouflage if I prefer, but I will have to pay for that one. And it kind of helps cement these as premium ships since it gives them the extra credit earnings and the like. There are also other camouflages. Apparently the credits earnings and experience earnings possibly change varying on the tier of the ship and the particular ship you have. And a few of them also will apparently get the reduction in spotting distance benefit as well. I'll also look at the Arpeggio Blue Steel tie-in, because that's coming up in the future. You saw the Yokosuka port there, which is from the anime show. I have actually watched the show. I just learnt there are some movies which I haven't watched. I kind of didn't like the show, to be honest. I thought it was very much male power fantasy driven, in that it's basically about a guy who just gets to boss a bunch of women around and they all love him for it, and those women just happen to be personifications of World War II Japanese warships, and he goes on adventures with them. And I didn't really follow I followed the plot, I just didn't like it that much. Character development was minimal, not that great as a TV show. I might watch the movies, but I don't really have any plans to at the moment. But anyway, I'm not really doing a TV show review at the moment. And what they're planning on doing is releasing a few ships that you'll be able to win through missions. which will basically be premium. Well, there'll be your normal ships. The Congo would be an obvious choice that they're going to bring in based on the TV show, where you'll complete a competition, you will win a Arpeggio or Blue Steel Congo, which I'm guessing will just be a regular Congo but with a new paint scheme, and possibly some credit earning bonus or some such thing. And if you want to, you can put it in your Yokosuka port. I should also mention those ports, they're all selectable. There's a little button in the top left of your port, and you get to choose which one you go in. So if you don't like the Yokosuka port, you don't have to choose it, and if you don't want your Congo to be painted weird, then just don't win that competition thing. I actually think I've covered everything. I've done it in an order that I didn't intend to, so I'll just have a quick scan through my notes to see if there's anything I missed. Oh, there's lots of little changes to individual ships. Nothing really stood out for me though. Actually, the one thing I have forgotten to mention is that torpedo detection range is getting changed quite significantly. It's actually getting reduced, so that's good for especially Japanese destroyers and stealth torpedo attacks in general. At the moment, your torpedoes will be spotted, I think it's actually up to 1.8 kilometers away, depending on the speed and caliber of the torpedoes. It's been reduced by a significant margin, which just makes torpedo attacks, especially stealth torpedo attacks, gives your enemies a bit less time to dodge and just makes them a bit more effective. On the other hand, the module, well, I've forgotten what it's called now, I'll just go and have a look. Target Acquisition System 1, which is very expensive and absolutely useless currently. All it does is increases the maximum detection range of a target, which is the point where it renders on your where it renders on your screen, which actually isn't all that useful because it doesn't increase your firing range at all. It doesn't increase your detection range. It just increases the range at which you can see ships that are already spotted. So say not very useful, but instead of that, it's going to also increase, well, your minimum acquisition range, which is the range where you'll see an enemy ship regardless of smoke screens or islands or whatever in the way. And it also particularly increases the distance that you will spot torpedoes at, and it's actually by a fairly significant margin. 20% to the torpedo detection range and a 50% increase to the minimum detection range, or the auto detection range I should probably call it. So what they've kind of done is that while they've made torpedoes more powerful in general, they've actually given players, at least in high tier players that can access that target acquisition module 1 or whatever it was, they've given them a way to actually counter those changes, which means that you can kind of set your ship up as a destroyer hunter. I think it'll be particularly useful for cruisers that will want to charge into smoke screens and still be able to spot the enemy destroyers and have lots of opportunity to dodge torpedoes. So I kind of like those changes. I actually thought that stealth torpedo attacks at the moment were a bit hit and miss. They generally relied on your target being a bit slow to react, so hopefully it will help those a bit and make them a bit more skill based, or maybe not skill based, but a bit less reliant on the enemy not reacting quickly. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And I think that was it. Oh no, one more thing that's worth mentioning. The repair party consumable on Tier 9 and 10 cruisers is being buffed. And yes, that also covers the Otago, so all cruisers with the repair party consumable. Basically, it's going to allow you to repair much more damage that's been done to your Citadel than under the current or previous patches. Obviously, high tier cruisers have been having a bit of a survivability issue, so Wargaming is helping to fix that by making that ability a bit more powerful for them. And otherwise, I'm pretty sure I've finally managed to cover everything. This is why when you write notes you should actually follow them in order, so that you don't just jump around at random talking about what you want. Anyway, I'll just finish this game, it's almost done. You saw me finish off the enemy Isuzuchi there. I'm in my own Isuzuchi, which is actually a really powerful ship. I This is the first time I played it on the test server. I've never really thought that highly of it on a live server, but when I get to play it, I actually realise it's quite powerful. It's got 10 12-inch guns, and it's actually got decent speed. For some reason I thought this was, in my mind, this was basically a very slow battle cruiser, or a very weakly armoured battleship. But it's actually quite fast, it's actually quite well armoured, and 10 12-inch guns is actually very powerful for tier 4. So I'm actually liking this ship. Probably not enough to buy it. I'm still actually waiting for the Mikasa because I really want to play the Mikasa. And I don't want to buy the Sasuchi because at some point I'm going to buy the Mikasa when I can. And then I'll already have a Japanese premium battleship, so I won't want 2 of them. But anyway, see me firing long range at the St. Louis. I got a few hits there, but wasn't able to see what kind of damage I did. The St. Louis is capping, and I've got a pretty decent course here. I'm at 10 kilometers range-ish, a bit closer than that I think, which is pretty accurate for me in this battleship, but it's making it a bit difficult for the St. Louis. And I actually did a fair bit of damage with that first broadside. It sets me on fire. I put the fire out, fire off my second broadside, and there's a Citadel, and it's a dead St. Louis. So it's a good ship, Ishizuchi, and I should also say this is actually a good patch. Other than the 50% reduction to allied torpedo damage, I actually like everything that's coming. I like the changes. Japanese torpedo attacks in particular, I'm thinking I'm going to practice them a lot, and hopefully I'll be able to do them effectively. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.